Hello and welcome to Kit Guru. You're here with me, Christina, and today we are taking some time out to sit in the Iskur chair by Razer, coming in at $349.99 at the time of this video on Amazon. But before I go on, please make sure that you've hit that like and subscribe button. A massive thank you to those who've already done it. It really means a lot to us and it makes a huge difference. I know I ask you every time, but it really does. So first things first, the box is very heavy and it would ideally need two people to move it. Upon opening the box, we can see a huge sign welcoming you in Razer fashion, and it does also state that it's two-player co-op, meaning that it suggests two people to make this chair. But in Kit Guru fashion, I'm going to see if one person can make it on their own, being me. Overleaf, we have our manual, and this may seem a little over the top due to the size, but it is pretty cool actually, because you can just prop it up somewhere in your workspace and look over to it without having to squint or anything like that. I need glasses for distance, as you can see, and I was still able to see it. It saved a lot of time from faffing around, picking it up, putting it down, etc. Also, there is a YouTube video if you get really stuck, which is really nice to see, and you can access this on the Razer website. The one thing I would say about the manual is even though it is really clear, there was no reference to the pieces, just visual representation. By that I mean there was no color coding on the screws or numbers or anything like that, but if you do count them then you can kind of figure out which is which, but it was just a little bit inconvenient and slightly confusing at first. I also really like the order of which the manual makes you put the chair together. We start with the backrest and then the side panels. The backrest isn't as heavy as the base, but combined it is a little bit of a struggle to lift. But I'm not the strongest person in the world. Some of you may find this a lot easier than myself. Putting the backrest into the brackets was really nice and easy, and I managed to do that by myself. I really liked that there were stickers on the covers and the actual brackets so that you don't have to faff around trying to figure out which one is which. The screws all went in really smoothly and no badly made screws that were stubborn, at least not yet. So the tool that you get with the chair is really sturdy and easy to get a good purchase on. I have very little hand strength and even I managed to be able to get a really good amount of pressure if needed. I could even get two hands on it if I really needed to. Also, popping the screw cover caps on was really easy. Unlike some of the other chairs I have put together, you normally have to really hit them quite hard, but this was really quite easy. You just line them up, tap them with the tool, the plastic end, and they were in. It was really easy. Next, we put the backrest adjustment cable and the lever through the back of the rest and underneath, where there is a clip to hold the cable in place. And then there is a bracket that you slide the actual lever body into. This was a little bit confusing as to which way round it was supposed to go. I know it's probably down to me not really taking the time to read the manual properly. That's typical me, to be fair, but you know, I did figure it out in the end and it went in quite easily. The next step was to attach the adjustment lever plate to the underneath of the chair. Getting this out of the box wasn't easy because it was really heavy and the foam in the accessory box kind of held on to it, causing a bit of like a suction, making it really awkward to pull out. So the weight obviously made attaching it to the base a little bit hard as well for one person, as you have to line up the holes correctly, else the whole thing drops slightly, and it makes getting the other screws in pretty much impossible. You have to take the whole thing off again and do it all over. However, once it was in the right place, there was one screw that just wasn't going in. All the screws were a little bit stiff at first, but they kind of eased up as you got going, but this one was really, really hard. I thought it could have maybe been machined badly, I don't really know. I got Andy to help with me on this one, and with a bit of a struggle even from him, we did eventually manage to get it in, thankfully. Next, I put the wheels into the wheel frame, and that was surprisingly easy. They just went in with a bit of a push, whereas before with other chairs I've really kind of hurt my hand trying to push them in and often needed tools or, you know, really push hard on the floor to do so. Turning the wheel frame over, I got the piston and popped that in, and also the piston sheath, and this is where things got interesting. The instructions I have seen normally say to lift the chair onto the piston. This time the manual says to lay the chair down and insert the piston piston with the wheel frame attached into the chair, then rock the chair upright using the wheels to pivot it upright. This was so much easier, and it meant I wasn't messing around trying to find the correct position without being able to see. Also, I just wanted to add that the wheels are really smooth. We live in quite an old building with uneven floors and quite thin carpet, and it didn't snag or catch or anything like that. It didn't take too much to move it around. All in all, the building process took me about, I don't know, 30-40 minutes, and that wasn't really rushing either. I was able to do almost all of it completely alone, apart from that one screw that, you know, was a bit hard. And when fixing the adjustment plate to the base of the chair, that was a bit difficult, but hey ho, not bad really.
Yeah, I am king.
So that's the making process. Let's go over some features. Well, aesthetically, we have this lovely, almost crocodile-like texture running all over the seat of the chair. There's a high gloss carbon fibre design on the edges of the chair, and then the textured pleather over the rest of the chair. I like the fact that there are loads of textures here. It really makes it feel like Razer has spent a lot of time thinking about the design. The stitching is also very well done. There wasn't a stitch out of place. I also really like the shiny Razer symbol on the headrest section of the chair, and also on the back there is a word Razer, and along the seat there is the slogan here. These little details appeal to me massively, and the fabric of the seat is what Razer call multi-layered synthetic leather, and they claim that it's tougher than the standard PU leather, making it resistant to peeling. There is a resin layer for shine, then a multi-layered synthetic leather, then a cotton polyester layer. Obviously only time will tell, so let us know down in the comments how well you think this fabric from Razer will last over time. There are some nice metal touches on the armrest levers and the buttons, as well as the Razer badges on the armrest structures. There is a metal core that shows at the base of the armrest post, as well as the brackets that connects to the underneath of the chair. The armrests have the same stippled pleather effect as the rest of the chair, and to be honest, they're pretty soft in comparison to other generic armrests I've felt. I've always said though, and if you've watched my previous chair reviews, you'll know what's coming. Why do companies not make the armrests softer? Or, I don't know, provide removable or replaceable cushions that you can attach? It's the only thing I think that's really missing from gaming chairs. I know it might be to prevent them from wear, but again, if they provided them separately, you could always purchase more if need be. I don't know, it's just kind of always been a gripe of mine. I just have sensitive elbows, okay? Anyway, so talking of padding, etc., you also get a memory foam head cushion. This is so lovely and soft. However, I find the positioning is a little off for me, and it is supposed to be kind of in the crook of your neck, whereas I'm never usually tall enough to benefit from these things, and I have to either take them off completely or have them kind of floating on my shoulders. This to me makes me think that this would be a much better place for someone taller. I'm around 5'5", so I think this is probably for someone quite a bit taller than me. The padding in the seat is high density, and it's also really nice and soft, but I don't think that it will sag over time as it has a taut and firm rebound to it. Also, you can get this chair in black as our sample is, or you can get it in black and green, of which you can see on Razer's website. So I think we've covered what the chair looks like, and to be honest, I absolutely love how it looks. I mean, it could be pink, but you can't win them all, eh? I can hear some of you sighing right now. And on that bombshell, let's move on to what this chair can do. All the things you would want a chair to do, basically. You can tip the backrest pretty far back, but not completely flat, but I never really saw the point of it anyway. You also have the up and down height adjustment, which goes really high, and this again confirms my suspicions that this might be intended for a taller person. You also have the tilt facility, which can be locked, and tilt adjustment knob underneath. The armrests have 4-dimension movement up, down, forward and back, left, right and inward and outward. There is also 5 increments of height adjustment on the armrests. All of the mechanisms are really nice to operate. They are smooth and feel really satisfying. But the unique thing about this chair, hence why I've kind of spoken about it last, is the back support. Unlike most gaming chairs which have either lumbar pillows, fixed support or pump up and down support, Razer has a totally different take on lumbar support in the form of a flip out panel. Now, this doesn't sound very comfortable, and I even had my doubts, but it's pretty good actually. You use it with the small lever under the right side of the chair, and once you release it, you use your back to kind of push it in or release it to where you want it to be. This is a little bit fiddly, but once you get it right, it's proper comfortable. Not only that, it isn't just targeting the very small of your back, it creates an ergonomic slope from the base to the mid of your back instead of just something jabbing you in the base of your back there. Also, it goes right out there, though I have no idea who would have it like that, as I don't think you would even fit on the chair at full extension there. One final point on comfort, I was sitting on this thing in 25-degree heat, and I can confirm I sweated like a crazy person, on my back at least. Now, I understand this is pretty hot weather, but it's something to really mention, you know, it did make me really hot. Moving on from functionality and comfort then, but before the conclusion, let's just quickly go over some key specs. As expected, this chair is recommended for 5'6" to 6'2" height people. I knew it was something like that. This is great news for you taller folk though. As I mentioned, there are lots of facilities to make you comfortable, but for me personally, there are a few things that overall comfort-wise don't suit a smaller user. I could mention to you that I personally don't like too much the headrest pillow position when attached. Also, the angle of the seat tilts towards the floor, which is great if you have longer legs, as your knees will end up higher, I guess, but I found the tilt towards the floor slightly weird unless you were kind of sitting exactly as you should, which, let's face it, most of us kind of slouch or shift down a little, and I found that this, after a night of gaming, felt a little restricted to a couple of seating positions. Weight limit wise is less than £299 or 136 kilograms, but it has a steel tube framing with reinforced plywood on the lumbar support, and also the wheelbase is steel reinforced. So this is a strong piece of kit. I thought I would just mention the tests that Razer have done, which you can read through on their website, and there are many more, such as the tolerance tests and even fabric tests, but I thought I would just go through the weight tests that they claim. So 75 pounds of push force on the lumbar, 225 pounds of force on the backrest, and 300 pounds drop test on the armrest, and 286 pound rear lean instability. So to me, this seems like it's a pretty tough cookie. In conclusion, this chair is definitely made for someone slightly taller than myself, and those of you that find some other chairs too small or low, then this may be the ideal one for you, because other than me being a little too small for it, there really isn't anything I can complain about. Okay, yes, this chair makes you sit right, but that can't be a bad thing really, can it? The build quality is excellent too, the design looks fantastic, and the level of detail is also very much appreciated. I think since Razer are new to the gaming chair scene, they've done extremely well. They have not only created a great chair, but tried to add some innovation, which is something other companies have kind of given up on. Most gaming chairs are almost identical, and I think it's great that Razer have come up with something different, even if it is just the lumbar support. Would I say it's worth $349.99? If you're the right size for it, then yeah, I would. I love my Cougar Armor S Royal, and I would say this is comparable if you are a taller folk in terms of comfort, design, and I would say that there are actually bits that are better. But you can check out the review of that one here on Kit Guru if you haven't seen it. Let us know down in the comments what you think of the Razer Iskur Gaming Chair, and will you be getting one or have you got one already? Don't forget to check out our merch down below. Our website is updated daily with tech news. I'm Christina, this is Kit Guru. Catch you next time.